Hello again, MGTOW brothers. I am Empowered MGTOW, and this is the last video I'm making for today, kind of in my series of tools for personal development. We've gone through various topics from breathing, walking, exercising, finding the right self-pleasuring tools, grounding, how to eat, examine different types of dieting, fasting, etc. I haven't talked about nutrition. That's something I will go into in another video. I'm just going to make note of that, so I'll do that later. And and then the last one I've talked about, goal setting, the self-exploration, the self-authoring suite, the Is Your Genius at Work book. I also recommended Dr. Tara Palmatier as a coach, a therapist. And then I talked about human design in the last video, which hopefully was intriguing for enough of you, those of you that are open to those sort of esoteric topics. Again, it's esoteric sounding, but very, very practical when you actually apply it. So now I'm going to talk about psilocybin a little bit. And really this is an area that there's a lot of great research that shows the power of psychedelics to heal whether it's inner struggles, depression, people who are also end of life, palliative care, and especially and it talks about the mystical experiences, and that many people who have experienced psilocybin and other psychedelic substances have had transformative experiences. I can attest to that on my own. So this is a talk by Roland Griffiths of Johns Hopkins, and he and his team have done some extensive research on the potency of psilocybin when it's administered in a clinical setting. If you're not doing it in a fully clinical setting, then you're probably going to want to get some guidance and work with people that are experienced with it. You can also do shamanic work with ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is a bit more an intense experience. I haven't used it, but there are people that have and can report on it. So again, this is a great video if you're interested or skeptical. I would highly recommend watching this. This is the Roland Griffiths Johns Hopkins Psilocybin Project. This is implications for spirituality and therapeutics. Because I put this last because this dives into really like the nature of reality, of what the nature of our reality is. Different ways to experience it, and again, as MGTOW men, we have the freedom to remove preconceived notions about who and what we might be, and asking that question, who am I, what am I, and meditating upon that. That's something that the wisdom traditions have done for millennia, all around the world, and spiritual journeys, inner journey work, going through walkabouts. All of that is so fundamental to discovering ourselves, and it's really a very masculine aspect. And there were coming of age rituals that we had to do, that we were invited into as young men, that don't really exist anymore. So we in a way have to find our own methods to do this. So if you're able and willing to find, and in fact there's what's the church? Psilocybin Church of I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly. There's all kinds of links, but there's a church somewhere in the US that if you become a member of it, you now, as part of your religion, psilocybin is your sacrament. You are using that to commune with God in that way, you could say, to your concept of God. So you can legally use psilocybin, and they have dispensaries that will provide it for you. So that was really interesting. I met somebody at a workshop that was a member of this church, and he actually gave me some psilocybin. I didn't have very much of it, but it was like in this pill form. So very, very interesting, very fascinating. And then to go deeper into kind of the idea of our origins and where we've been. So I'm just going to mention a few people to check out. I'm going to suggest looking at Graham Hancock's work, Fingerprints of the Gods, Magicians of the Gods, The Sign and the Seal, and he's done some collaborative work with both Randall Carlson on, how did the Ice Age, the last Ice Age, which ended approximately 12,800 years ago. Well, it was in the process of ending, and then there was this sudden cold snap. As we were warming, suddenly the climate became extremely cold, like really almost overnight. And what caused that? And there's markers that suggest that a comet impacted on the North American ice sheet. And Randall Carlson has looked at floods up in the Northwest and around various parts of the northern, central, and northwestern United States, Washington, the Scablands. Amazing research. And Randall Carlson's a badass when it comes to sacred geometry and understanding how the pyramids were designed to reflect the dimensions of the earth, and that the people who built them were really tapped in. And this is not about aliens. I don't believe that aliens built them, but really fucking smart, sophisticated human beings with technology that, at the very least, they could measure very accurately, compass directions. And they knew how to build and form and fit things in a way that is not trivial. Very, very powerful. And Robert Schoch, tremendously talented geologist, he was the first man that really endorsed the idea that the Sphinx was water weathered because of the lines etched in it, and not just Sphinx, but the surrounding gully that it was formed in. John Anthony West, who's now passed, but he's done videos on symbolist Egypt and kind of the meaning of the various temples and how they reflect like the human body, the human spirit. And then when you get into more, all of this is esoteric. I mean, there's basis for it. I really think Dr. Carla Turner is a fucking incredible researcher, and she developed a really aggressive rare cancer, suspiciously, because she was exposing the alien agenda and how aliens were seemingly working with human beings, at the alien abduction phenomenon. And this is where I definitely left the New Age movement, because a lot of people think that, oh yeah, the Pleiadians are here to help us. Like, bullshit. I'm sorry. There's the non-interference director for a reason. So check her out, because she's written several books with well-documented case studies about the alien agenda, and which is why it's so important to master your own spiritual nature, to be careful of to approach your inner revelation mindfully, and also to just be aware that there could be influences out there that if you give your power away, then you might be influenced by them. Michael Cremo has talked about how humanity is much, much older. The evidence for ancient origins of human remains, like anatomically modern humans that could go back millions of years. Lloyd Pye has also researched this. He's showed how the bones that we see that supposedly indicate an evolutionary step between humans, apes and humans, don't add up. And I also am particularly interested with Bigfoot. I think that there's two great channels, Thinker Thunker and Bob Gimlin. Both of them have very good, well thought out videos. And Thinker Thunker does video analysis, and it's really, really interesting. So I highly recommend checking out Thinker Thunker. The Gnostics. So the idea of this, the archon. So this is a David Icke video, and I'd watch it. I definitely did. He pulls together kind of how the cabals have sort of manipulated, how these quote unquote royal families have consolidated power, and how their origins and the symbolism are very, very dark. And that seems to point to an origin where at some point in human history there was a influence of dark energies, and that these archons or djinn, as the Muslims would say, or demons, are responsible for a lot of the pain and suffering, and they literally feed off of it. So this is again where inner regulation, tapping into your inner divinity, your inner beauty, and living a life that's as much free from pain, obligation, suffering as possible is essential. So I do believe that Christ existed. I've felt on my own the Christ energy, and what that means for us to be free, loving, powerful beings that we're able to integrate all aspects of ourselves, to be our own authority, to take authority over ourselves. I mean, and Christ and the Buddha are basically teaching similar things, and other saints as well of different traditions. So we really are here to be free. We're here to wake up to who and what we really are, which is ineffable, undescribable spirit. It's the presence. You can feel it when you're just calm. When you're and you don't have to just be calm, but it's easier when you still yourself and just, you call it silent sitting, meditation. You can experience it in all different ways, but to experience the presence that's behind the thoughts, to know that there's a deeper dimension of us, that as wonderful it is to have a human body, to be able to be human, that's a part of our deepest self. It's not the whole story. And to be freed of all of the demands and the expectations of society gives us the opportunity to go deeper and deeper, and to experience more joyfully life. Like, it's not like you have to just sit on a rock and just go meditate, but by sitting and being or walking meditation, or just doing your exercise in a way that you're just celebrating being alive, you're invigorating your life and invigorating the whole planet. And so MGTOW, I'm much more of I'm definitely not thrilled with how, relationships seem to be very, very dicey, especially in certain states. Like, I'm still in California, and I'm really looking forward to getting out of here. And I don't have illusions about the power that I have or don't have when it comes to, divorce court, or, the yes means yes and various things. So there's a part of me that says, yes, this really does, it sucks to a degree to be a man and to be seeking a relationship, or to be wishing that I could have a relationship. And at the same time to say, well, what am I doing that is creating beauty and satisfaction, and how am I enjoying and expressing myself? How am I, I'm alive. You're alive. You're watching this. You're listening to this. How are you celebrating your life? How are you making the most of your life? And which is both inner focused, and there can be an aspect of that's outer focused. Like, my gift of putting together my thoughts, and it's a joy for me to do this, like any of us that are creators in that way. And I think I saw it on it was the Human video, and man, Human, you're awesome too. If you ever see this, man, I'd love to meet up with you for a drink down under sometime. My videos are very, very simple and basic. I envy people who have more of that production skill. I guess it's not my focus, but I'm, to be a creator. Sometimes we have to consume, and we each are meant to create in our own way. And I hope each of us are waking up, are freeing ourselves, not just red pill from like women and feminism and gynocentrism, but to really, really wake up, to really experience what real freedom is, like spiritual awakening. And I'm going to recommend this teacher. This is a teacher that I've spent time with, and he's got many, many videos on YouTube. He's really awake. This man has got an interesting story, truly, truly good, grounded, funny. He's a Westerner. He grew up in California, was a competitive bicyclist and rock climber, and was pursuing Zen, pursuing awakening, and ended up, getting into it, and really deeply into it. So you can watch videos if you feel called to go to a retreat. My life really changed for the better when I started to engage with him. It was just, he's my favorite teacher. And there's no weird scandals, no sex scandals, and all that stuff that some people get into. So yeah, man, my brothers, enjoy, take care, have a great day.